Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, we take you to one of the first microbreweries in Hampton Roads.
Plus, we have tips on advertising your business. Get ready. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zach Miller. Welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a weekly look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making an impact right here in Hampton Roads.
Today we're talking beer with Bill Spence from St. George Brewery, one of the first microbreweries in Hampton Roads. We talked about the local beer landscape and how it's changed in 18 years. We are talking about the business of beer with Bill Spence, the president of St. George Brewing Company in Hampton. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us today. As the longest operating microbrewery in Hampton Roads, you have quite a bit of experience in this industry. 18 years. You started as a hobby brewer.
Right. And basically the original company started as a brew on premise over in Virginia Beach, and that allowed me to go and utilize the brewing equipment there instead of having my own brewing staff and going from that point.
In 1998, you established St. George as a company. You went all in and you said, I'm going to make this into a business. Why did you make that decision?
At that point in time, the Hampton Roads area was still very much a beer backwater type arrangement compared to other places like the Northwest or Northern Virginia, stuff like that. So we had to sit down there and look at producing more into a microbrewing operation instead of a BOP, a brew on premise. So we started to actually focus into producing the beer and then selling it to the distributor and who sells to the retailer.
We've been talking about SB 604, Senate Bill 604 in
Correct.
2013. It kind of changed the game for
microbreweries.
microbreweries.
It changed the whole landscape because now, before I can only give you a 2-ounce sample by state ABC laws.
Right.
Now I can actually sell you a pint of beer
Right.
that you can consume on premise. And then it becomes more of a destination. Now people want to come and seek out your location because they want to see where it's being produced at. They want to see and talk to the people that produce it. So it becomes more of a tight-knit interrelationship that now people can come in, they can see where it's been brewed at, they can talk to the folks, and they can consume it right there.
It seems more like a community business where you can say, come into my shop, have a beer,
It is.
enjoy it, and then learn more about your store.
And pretty much so. When you take a look at, in the old days, you had a tavern in every corner that people would sit down there, and that was their, mingling place that they go and get their beer and talk to their friends. It's becoming more and more the same way here, because a lot of places you go to the Northwest, and you can't throw a rock without hitting a little, brewery of some sort.
Right.
And and it's coming right like that around here. In the Hampton Roads area, when you sit there and take a look at, 5 years ago, we probably had it, just enough breweries on your hand. Now I don't have enough hands and fingers to count.
Right, sure. And as a long-standing brewery owner, what would you say to them? How would you help them find some success knowing what you know now?
Have a good business plan. Know that you're not going to make money day one because the expenses are going to keep going until at some point in time you reach a curve. Our size of our plant, we're about a 5,000 barrel capacity. We're about 4,000 barrels here. So, I'm not, hitting the ceiling yet, but, I do have some, growth. A lot of places start out and they think too small, and after a couple of years, they realize that they've got themselves painted into a corner, and it's hard to either do a build out in their present location, or they have to go and find another location and new equipment because they've completely outgrown it.
Right. Well, you were talking to me about how the little tank you use, that one over there, so small compared to the giant ones
That's
you
correct.
have right behind us. But the cost difference is also quite large.
It is, and particularly as when you look at the number of breweries that are coming in existence or planning, there's a lot more suppliers that are now coming on the scene that will sell you these type of tanks. whether or not they be Chinese manufactured or American manufactured. But the business has changed greatly. It's just being able to sit there and see what's happened within the Hampton Roads area.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable to sit there and say you're one of the old hands and you've seen a lot of things come and go. Basically with my own history within the company.
Right.
But also just to see how the landscape has changed, the number of breweries that have come on the being, and the number that are still coming in.
Right. It's still a community.
It is. Each one, we brewers, we know all the brewers and stuff like that. While it's business, it still is more of a family. We recognize that we're in to make some money, but we're also to make a good product and have it recognized by people around us.
Bill, thank you so much.
Cheryl, thank you.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We are here with Chris Busolo of Shiny Computers in downtown Portsmouth. Chris, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you have a technical background where you would go and take apart computers and make them work together. How did you turn that into a business?
I guess it's because I started selling them first. I got a good product that I could stand behind.
So you started taking apart computers as a childhood dream of yours,
yes,
right? And you then started selling those.
Yes.
Where did you sell them, and how did that go about?
Well, I started off on Craigslist, of course, everybody does, and then flea markets. I would part together the older machines, what people consider junk, but they're still great machines. So I would take all the, take them, upgrade them, refurbish them, good batteries, good chargers, things like that, and sell them. And people really liked the Apple ones I had. I had older Apple machines, and what I realized going into it was for every Apple I sold, I had a happy customer that would bring somebody else. For every PC or Android machine I sold, I have a problem. I'd have people coming in saying my machine doesn't work, it's got a virus, I'm not happy with it. Whereas the Macs, even though they were older, people liked them. They just worked.
So you took that information that basically gave you two pieces of data. One, always happy customers. Two, challenges. And you said, I don't necessarily want to be a one-stop shop for all things. I'm going to focus on this one thing. How did you come up with that kind of premise that looking at the data said this, and this is what we should really focus on?
It really is the happy customer theme. That's been paramount through the last 4 years. Every happy customer is going to bring another happy customer, another potential customer with them. They're going to shout us out on Facebook. The marketing behind that almost drove it automatically.
So how do you create a happy customer? How do you bring them in, fix their stuff, and then get them to do those things, that virality piece of it, right? So posting on Facebook, how do you get them to do the things that you ultimately want them to do?
For us, I think it's been value. We give the customer a good value. They may be spending X amount of dollars, but we want them to get at least that in value. So if they're buying an older machine, with us they get a warranty, they get a trade-up policy, so if they want something better in the future, they don't lose their value today. If they come in for a repair, we make sure they're taken care of. Some repairs can be costly, but they'll work. So they'll get a machine back that is as good as when they first had it.
How do you explore different avenues to find new customers now?
Facebook's obviously the best that we found so far. Throw a couple dollars to it and you just get those automatic returns.
So boost a post on Facebook.
Exactly.
You show what kind of stuff do you show in the actual images?
Mainly at this point it's been ads, I'll call them. Some prices, so people know that they can get their phone fixed for this dollar amount. It's also been the fact that we have the stuff. We have a good selection, we have a good warranty.
How do you create and promote a testimonial or a review on Facebook?
They've all been organic. We haven't actually gone out and asked for any yet. I want to, just haven't gotten to it.
When you are looking at exploring different options, different mediums on social media, what are you looking for and how are you trying to differentiate yourself from other business owners?
On the on the other mediums, Twitter, Instagram, things like that, I don't want to seem like I'm making ads. I want, happy customer pictures.
Just people don't want to see ads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The best we've done so far on those mediums has been, so-and-so came in and super happy with their MacBook, and, picture them with their product or their repair, or just their testimonial and resharing it. And
Right.
That's probably the biggest thing, is when somebody's happy and it's genuine.
So at the end of the day, the most important kind of piece of data for you is a happy customer.
Yes.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
There's more Hampton Roads Business Weekly coming up, but first we want to hear from you. So if you have questions or comments during the show, tweet us at HR Biz Weekly. We're back right after the break. Welcome back. Last week we introduced you to the guys at Custom Home Improvements. They talked about the unique way the partners run their business. The guys are back again this week to talk about their venture into TV advertising and why it needs to be looked at as an investment. We're sitting here with the owners of Custom Home Improvement in Virginia Beach, and today we're talking about paid ads and how recently the three of you decided to move into the realm of commercials. I wanted to talk with you about that. What made you decide to go into buying commercials for television for your company?
Pretty much from the beginning of the three-way partnership, all the way back in 2009, it's something that we envisioned for a long time and planned on. And at that time, even met with companies to talk about and start getting information on. Weren't able to do it as quickly as we wanted to. So we experimented with a lot of other advertising medias, magazines, even helping community groups and things of that sort, which we still do.
Sure.
But as we grew as a company and, through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, became more successful. Like you said, recently we started with, advertising on television with commercials. So I can tell you already in the first month we saw, a substantial difference, not just in calls coming into the office, but also in the other areas of advertising that we do. More people would relate, oh yeah, we saw your commercial, and it helps, I think, pretty much in every category across the board.
Before you got to this point, when you were, even in 2009, at the beginning of your company, you were talking with people, it's a pretty sizable investment. At what point did you decide the investment was worth it? Was it a certain dollar amount that you were bringing in? Was it a certain number of employees you had?
The biggest thing, like Tim said, was, we've tried other avenues of advertising, magazines, obviously Angie's List, everybody knows.
Sure.
But we also have our own marketing staff. So it's take the cliche out, it's like a branding. And with our marketing staff, we kind of hit certain areas. It gives them credibility when they're calling or if they're out in the field. So like he said, oh, I saw your commercial. It's that, the credibility, the comfort, and it's just where the time is right with it, because financially in a position to be able to take the next step. And take the phrase, we didn't rob Peter from our marketing end to pay Paul.
Right.
We were able to set enough aside to be able to make a run on it. And so far, you said about success, the numbers that are coming in, always ask for more, but there's a good chance from what we're seeing, it could be something long-term for us.
I think that's what you said is so true, is you're looking at it as an investment and a long-term one, because if you did it for just 1 month, or smaller companies, they say, oh, I'd like to buy a commercial, but they run it once and they don't see anything because they've run it once. So if you look at it as an investment, maybe that's what makes the successful run that it is.
Yeah, you're branding your company. I mean, you're getting your company out in front of customers, potential customers, and you're making yourself available. You're making people be able to see you. So that way, when you are out in the area doing work and they see your job sign, they're like, oh yeah, we saw those guys on TV. And it just kind of puts the pieces together. And the biggest thing is when people are ready to do work, you want them to remember you. And I think getting on TV and putting that in front of them is the only way to do it.
What are your hopes for this investment?
Just to become more familiarized by the public, get our name out there, have people know that if they're in the market for a roof or siding or trim, that we're here. And then of course always when you put an investment out, you always want some type of return. So hopefully it brings in some phone calls and brings in some leads and some jobs for us. So we look at it from both sides, not just putting this sum of money out to generate X amount of sales. We look at it as we hope that happens also, but the bigger side is making sure that when people are in need of your service that they remember you.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing I think that we look to get out of it.
So the ROI is sales, immediate sales, but also in the future, some goodwill.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this really important information with us.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome back. All this month, we've been talking about growth and ways to expand your business. I spoke with Dr. Karen Eagle, a professor at Regent University, about tracking your business so you know when it's the right time to grow. So I have a business and I'm trying to figure out if I'm in kind of a growth mode, if I'm still trying to figure out what my business is, but I think I'm in growth mode. What type of things should I look at to understand what's kind of next for me if I am kind of on the cusp of growth?
Well, I think most of the time people feel like it's time to grow when they feel some pain in their business and they're overwhelmed. It seems to be too much. And so you have to look at what is it going to take to grow? What does that mean to me? Do I need more space? Do I need more people? And what is that going to cost? To get more space, where am I going to get this space? Do I have available space where I am, or do I have to go somewhere else?
We talk a lot about pain. Like, what's the threshold of pain? Like, I mean, obviously, some people are like, oh, I work 24 hours a day. Some people say I'm working 8 hours. Like, what does pain look like with you guys when you get because it's like, well, I could put in an extra 30 minutes and that, solves that problem. How do you really understand when something is so painful that you really have to do something about it?
That's a crazy question to answer because everybody's going to be different in that case. And when you're an entrepreneur, the buck stops here, and everything. You are responsible for everything. And so some people could have a high threshold of pain and can run like the Energizer Bunny, but we're all going to get to a place where it just gets to be too much. And that's when you need to have help. Yeah. Frankly, it's good to hang around other entrepreneurs to even know if what I'm perceiving as big pain is really minute compared to what other people are putting up with right now.
Surround yourself by other entrepreneurs that may have gone through something that you have. From a physical location standpoint, when you were looking at expanding, did you have a spreadsheet? What did that? How do you kind of understand and maneuver the numbers to really understand what you're getting? Is there software associated? What type of stuff?
I think every business might be a little bit different in what they need, because I was a retailer with a brick and mortar store, and we had physical product, physical customers, and we just had more orders than we knew we had space to put and people to manage it. So we needed physically more space. But then as I got new space, I was able to add product lines for, to take up more space, in other words, so to speak. One time when we expanded, we actually opened a separate unit 2 doors down and called it Eagle Tuxedo. And so we had a whole new business plan put together with new business, but that also gave us the room in the back of that building for the space that we needed.
What's there to be said, though, about a business that is small, maybe painful, but that's the thing that makes it work? And if you get a little bit bigger, that thing isn't as successful anymore because people like the tight confines, right?
That's actually a great example, because I have a friend right now who's a chef at his own restaurant, and he's made that decision to stay small. He doesn't take reservations. You cannot get a table. I won't see him all summer probably.
Yeah.
I won't be able to get in, but he loves it. He's happy because he's busy, and he actually has made the decision not to expand for that very reason, because he feels like you lose a little bit of something when you get big. And on the other hand, and I think maybe he's smart and has had experience in another restaurant before this when he lived in the Eastern Shore, but because in the slow times of the year, how are you going to pay that rent?
Sure.
And I also have a that's one good example of a guy who decides not to expand for that reason. And I have some friends who have a business where they send vending machines all over the city, and they're at capacity. They're
Sure.
just working like crazy. They've done the research, and here we come to research again. But they've done the research to find out what would it take to expand, and they would literally have to double their business because it would require another warehouse, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's that decision. You're at that tipping point. Do I want to change my lifestyle? Am I willing to jump off that cliff and take that plunge, and a risk to see if that's going to work? And am I there yet? And so that's kind of a lifestyle decision as well.
It's all risky, and it's all about really figuring out what everything is saying so that you can hopefully continue to be successful.
Which is why you should hang around entrepreneurs, because they're all going through it. They're all going through it.
Hang around entrepreneurs.
Yes, sir.
It's an exciting thing.
That wraps up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at HR Business Weekly.
There, you will find segments from previous shows, plus some great behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.